Welcome back, Wolfpack Rolls here, and this is going to be a moveset relook and extra movesets for the first half of the Johto Pokedex. So I'm going to start off with some of the movesets and stuff that I overlooked, and that's going to be Murkrow. The most common way to use Murkrow in doubles is with Quash, and yet I really didn't touch on that, even though I know I should have. That Quash, what it does is it forces the target to move last this turn, and by using your Prankster ability, so what we do is we throw Prankster on Murkrow. Quash is a status move, as you can see right here with the status symbol, therefore it is affected by Prankster, making it really strong that you use that Prankster ability. Quash locks down one of your opponent's Pokemon, they move last now, and then that means you can really just do whatever you want with your other Pokemon. Generally you want Murkrow to be supporting, and then you just have a super powerful Pokemon, either taking out the Pokemon you're quashing, because that could be your opponent's Mega, that could be your opponent's strongest Pokemon, and now they have no speed on their side, so if they're a sweeper, makes them very vulnerable, and then you pick them off, and then this works as your like fourth move slot, besides like Roost, Tailwind, and whatever other shutdown that you want on your Murkrow. Next up we have Slowking. Didn't mention Iron Defense on Slowking, mostly because I didn't want to kind of just do the generic thing of you go Calm Mind, you go Scald, and then you go Rest, and then you go Chesto Berry, and now you have the ultimate like Slowking thing, because with Iron Defense you can't Rest talk, but at the same time, you know, if you get enough Calm Mind, you get enough Iron Defenses, you are still weak to getting crit in this situation. It's not like Mega Slowbro, but with the Oblivious ability, can't be taunted. So one of the biggest criticisms of my movesets goes away, so now you can't be taunted, you only have to worry about like Haze and Roar and stuff, but those are very uncommon. So now you set up a Calm Mind, Iron Defense, you do Scald, you do Rest, and yeah, that's it. Also, another Pokemon I messed up is Blossom. Blossom doesn't get Leech Seed in the 6th generation, or the 5th, or the 4th. It's actually a 3rd generation event, making it not really common and pretty much impossible to have on a competitive level. So Leech Seed for 6th generation usage, not gonna happen, and now we can also, even though it didn't, like, it doesn't make sense, it seems like Blossom would be a good Pokemon for Leech Seed, and I guess it also applies to Vileplume. Did I put Vileplume with Leech Seed? If I did, that's also true. So now let's go and look at some of the other things with Lantern. Didn't mention Soak. Lantern is one of the few Pokemon to get Soak, so if you want to do a Soak gimmick such as soaking a Shedinja to make it less vulnerable to a lot of things, you can definitely do that. Also, just reducing weaknesses or trying to play some kind of Soak composition, they're out there and you can do some fun things, and Lantern, as a very tanky Pokemon, is very good for Soak. Another thing I forgot to mention with Lantern is Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave. That it's a Pokemon, you get Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave, and then you can just kind of play this bulky, special attacking Pokemon in a really interesting way. So as we mentioned already with Lantern, its EV breakdown is going to be really awkward, that we're not really going to invest too much in hit points, and if we want to go with like a modest nature or something, that means we might just want to go full special attack, full defensive investment, and then we just kind of hope for the best with Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave. Because of Thunder Wave, they won't get burned from that Scald, but overall we're just trying to do damage. They hit themselves a couple of times, and then Lantern might be able to at least get a KO out of this, and maybe some status on the next Pokemon coming in. Also, I feel that there's a given rotation to this, that you want to lead with that Thunder Wave, unless they're a Ground-type Pokemon. You want to lead with Thunder Wave because it's going to make them slower from that paralysis. Generally, you're going to be going last in the turn because you are the slowest Pokemon, or a fairly slow Pokemon, so Thunder Wave means now you're going first, and then you get to Confuse Ray the opponent, so now the Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave hacks are stacking, so don't just lead Confuse Ray. If you do that, they're still going to outspeed you twice in a row, and then you have to land that Thunder Wave, and then you have to hope they hit themselves. Also, me and my ignorance to Assault Vest in some situations, that with Azumaril, yet another Assault Vest Pokemon I neglected to talk about. The thing about Azumaril, it's a water type. It has weakness to grass and electric. It's also fairy type, which means it does have weakness to poison. Generally, these are going to be special attacks. By putting an Assault Vest on it, it means you actually have a chance of surviving these powerful special attacks, because now you're boosting your special defense against what you're weak to, and then you still come out as a heavy-hitting Pokemon. Generally, if you're not running Belly Drum Azumaril, it's just going to be all offensive. So you go Waterfall, take that hit, Aqua Jet. Play rough, like you take the hit, play rough, Aqua Jet. You have a lot of good move diversity and stuff, and then you just play it like that. So now you endure that super effective hit, and you take out the Pokemon trying to knock you out, and you get free Aqua Jet on top of that, unless you want to switch out and then play however you end up playing. So Assault Vest Azumaril, really good thing that I ended up overlooking because it just plays to those weaknesses really well. Alright, next up we have Sudowoodo. Now, when I reviewed Sudowoodo, I didn't know Custap Berry had been released like a month or two before the video came out on the Pokemon GL. That the last time I did my research, Custap Berry wasn't a thing, but now it's like legal and stuff, so it's really cool to use. And with Sturdy, there's incredible synergy here. So the idea is you take like a huge hit, you get knocked down to 1, Cuss Step Berry activates, which means you get a free Quick Claw effect, which means you go first in priority bracket when you drop before a quarter hit points. Hey, 1 hit points, that's pretty much going to be below a quarter, so you're good to go there. And then my idea is you use Power Up Punch. So you take that hit, drop to sturdy, Power Up Punch for that turn, next turn you're faster, and then you use Explosion, then you use Earthquake. The idea behind this is just a super cheesy 1-for-1 that could be pretty funny. That, you know, Explosion with that Power Up Punch, very high chance of knocking out almost anything. Earthquake is going to be good against Steel and Rock type Pokemon. They resist your Explosion, and then it's extra coverage, and if you end up going against one of those and using Earthquake to KO them, you're still alive. Now you have a +1 Sucker Punch potential, so you're expecting to be the slowest Pokemon, they just do damage, you throw out the Sucker Punch, and then that's going to do something, so it's a 1-for-1 plus with the way that you set this up. Now, interesting things about this set. Hit point investment is going to make you bulkier, but it does risk your sturdy, that if you end up taking 66% or something, you get dropped to like a third. Now, you're not going to get your Cuss Step Berry because you're just going to take another 2/3 and get knocked out. But overall, you know, you can maybe just try to tank it up. You get 2 Power Punches in. Now you don't have to rely on that Explosion. Now you can just use Earthquake for those KOs, and then Sucker Punch if it's a super effective hit or something. You know, you can chain Sucker Punches together. So you're kind of also playing this tanky idea, or you can just say, alright, forget it. Speed investment, maybe you'll outspeed another super slow, super tanky Pokemon. You're trying to be as frail as possible for the sturdy, adamant nature, and then you're good to go. Next up, Quagsire. I think the first time I ever looked at Quagsire, I mentioned Power Up Punch, but in my recent How to Use guide, I didn't. So the idea here is you go stockpile with Power Up Punch. This isn't going to be any kind of like curse shenanigans, or it's not anything like that. That with stockpile, we're going to be gaining defense and special defense evenly, and then we also have Power Up Punch. So once we get our setups, we'll just start doing a little bit of damage while also getting our attack boosts, and then we go into stockpile with Recover and Waterfall. Also, Power Punch is going to be nice because it means we at least have an option for Water Absorb Pokemon. Now, a +6 Power Punch, you might actually be able to do enough damage over time to at least whittle down your opponent if you are getting Water Absorbed. But other than that, Stab Waterfall from a +3, +4 is going to be ridiculous. And because we're going to be running the Unaware ability, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be boosting defenses, evasion, none of it matters. You just come in and you destroy them, and that's where it's at. Also, I mentioned something about back-to-back Draco Meteors. Well, since you're unaware, if they lose special attack, it doesn't matter. So you're taking full hit Draco Meteors the entire time. And then next up, we have Jumpluff. Just kind of your Infestation, Leech Seed, Sleep Powder idea, that maybe just do that idea where we run speedy, we run with those hit points. You can go Timid Nature with this if you want the speed, or you can just invest into your other defenses. That Bolt is going to be okay, because now we're getting a boost into our defenses, thus bringing our defense and special defense closer together. So this is just going to make it to where now we're trying to be tanky, while also super just stally, that you lead with that speedy Sleep Powder. If it lands, most likely you're outspeeding them, and then they're asleep, so that means free Substitute, free Leech Seed, use Infestation, they can't switch out, or it's a tough call on what you want to do first, because naturally you want to use that Leech Seed to get that Substitute health back, but since you're behind a Substitute, use that Infestation. Even if they do wake up, they have to break your sub, you can use Leech Seed, then Sleep Powder again, and then they're just going to go down to Leech Seed and Infestation damage before they can switch out, and then you just kind of win from sustaining all the way back up. Infiltrator is going to be very nice for this because it also hits through Substitute. So that means if they're trying to do some kind of Substitute shenanigans, you go through it and then you go and destroy them. This is heavily stopped by Grass-type Pokemon, but if you're not dealing with Grass types on your opponent's team, this is going to do just fine. So if you guys enjoyed this Pokemon relook, and I hope you all have a nice day.